It said, "We, the ACK, fully support the Catholic Bishop's statement to the nation. We believe that the government is there to turn around the country and steer it in the right direction."
Very well, Keitani. You know, when it comes to the church, or let's say people of the faith, you know, I will not want to single the church really. I'm a Muslim myself, but of course we have also the SUPKEM, imams and whatever, CIPK and all that. They have a duty to give people hope. They have a duty to tell people, to tell the leadership, including themselves, where they are going wrong. That is given, but they also have a duty to give hope. I don't think they will be very right to be preaching in their churches about hell only and not talking about heaven, because people need hope. So when it comes to this matter, in their own address, they should have started by saying, well, during the campaigns, the Kenya Kwanza government promised about affordable housing. Is it happening? Yes. They talked about the Hustler Fund. Is it there? Of course, the operation and whatever will come later. But when it comes to those pledges that were made, the Hustler Fund, is it there? Yes. The affordable housing, is it there? Yes. The president said that he was going to employ this number of teachers when it comes to the education sector.
What is the success? What is the success of the Hustler Fund?
Are they being employed? That's why I'm saying, you know, you give a complete scorecard. You just don't talk about hell in church throughout without talking about heaven. Otherwise, you'll again lose the faithful. And I think this is the doctrine of any leader. Even me, when I go to my constituency and there is a problem, of course, I'll try to tackle the problem. But you need to give people hope. Otherwise, without hope, then you lose the whole of humanity. So I don't think the church were very right in just talking about hell without talking about heaven. That is my...
You're saying they should give people hope.
Because there are some success stories. They never talked about the success stories, you see. They only talked about what is not happening. And remember now, even what is not happening, if I give you a pledge, I give you a pledge based on certain parameters. I'm just referring to what happened, and both of us are legislators. With the fall of Finance Bill 2024, certainly, most of the pledges which were given for me and Mheshimiwa Rero here, I think we knew that in that bill there was 50 million shillings for electrification, isn't it? With the fall of that bill, you don't expect it to happen. But because it was there, we had already told our people that this time we are going to give electricity to this number of villages. So this is normally what happens. And I think from wherever one stands, you should be able to give a balanced scorecard.
Honorable Tandaza, let me just ask you briefly. You're talking about the clergy should give Kenyans hope. Now, how do you give hope to someone who is bedridden with the current situation on the social health authority, the patients who are struggling to access services? How do you sell hope to someone like that, someone who's suffering?
Let's visit any hospital now. You know, we could be talking about when it was first rolled out about 4 weeks ago and what is happening now. It happened that during that time, I also had my close relative, especially my wife, was hospitalized. And of course, the whole of a big hospital, the one we normally go to, where we have insurances, had not been registered, had not migrated to SHA. So I had to pay out of pocket. But as it continued, they were able to migrate and the bills were taken care of. So this is a process. You know, you don't expect something to happen like instant coffee. Of course, it was painful as the political leaders were most hurt, because apart from our own personal issues, we even take care of our constituents. And we even give them this social protection, we pay for them, but it couldn't help them. So it was a real problem. But of course, now going forward, I think SHA is going to work better than the way NHF used to be, given on what is going to cover. And this is where I'm saying, as a leader, you should be able to give people hope. Yes, we're in this problem, but the steps being taken and what we can see happening now, for sure, we are moving to a better situation. We used to complain about the new funding model. Yes, it had problems. But overall, if it is implemented the way it's supposed to be, certainly it is going to be better than the former. But
there were loopholes in that particular new funding model.
Yeah, of course, the loopholes will be there, but can they be addressed? The loopholes were there. The loopholes were there, but can they be addressed? Yes, they are being addressed, and that's what a leader should be able to say. This is the problem, and this how it's going to be handled. But just as a leader, especially for those bishops and their leaders, just giving people despair. You know, that it's like nothing is happening. You are left on your own. nobody is in charge of this country.
But when we have a crisis,
surely,
when we have a crisis in crucial sectors, the education sector, the health sector, I mean, there's need to address issues of the hour.
That's what I'm saying. If it's a crisis, it was about shortage of teachers, which has been there. Okay. It is now being handled. It is in this regime that we've had the highest number of teachers being employed in a single go. Why can't somebody also see that as a positive step in the education sector instead of just talking about what is missing? Because for sure,
can agree with me.
There is a lot to be done in all the sectors, but it's being addressed.
I don't know whether Honorable can agree with me. Yes, indeed, the government has done enough, has done quite something in trying to address the issue of shortage of teachers. But there's the issue of infrastructure as well. You can hire teachers, but the lack of infrastructure will hinder.
Can it all be done at the same time? Which government can afford to do everything at the same time? As we speak, there's even infrastructure funds from the ministry. Our partners have come in where these classrooms are being built. You don't want to talk about them, you want to talk about what is missing. You know, that is why I'm saying, unless now you're operating from a certain position, that you want to make this government just look bad and nothing is being done. But for sure, even infrastructure is being tackled by this government.
Fair enough, because of time.
At a level that had never been tackled before. And Orero can testify to this. But it can be enough for sure. But in a single go.
Singled out infrastructure.
We had the president promising more funds for infrastructure on Sunday.
Yeah, in Nairobi he has given 54 million per constituency to build at least 30 classes per constituency. I'm not very sure about the numbers because I'm not an MP. But some of the success stories he's talking about, for example, on corruption, the government itself, the president has proposed amendments to the Evidence Act, to the Criminal Procedure Code, to the Public Management Funds Bill, a protection of witness bill, and all these laws. And another very key law is the procurement law that is going to propose automation of the whole procurement process, from the announcement and end to end, a digital platform where everything is so open that we are not going to have any loophole for corruption. And on those laws, there's a proposal that every corruption case should end within 6 months. Those are game changers that are going to affect the fight on corruption. Something else they singled out.
When you talk about corruption, just 7 days ago, Trade CS, that is Salim Vuya, did appoint one Lucy Anangwe as the managing director of the Kenya National Trading Corporation, despite Lucy Anangwe being one of the people mentioned in the corruption in the 6.5 billion edible oil scandal. And the appointment of Miss Lucy Anangwe was against the directive of KNTC's board chairperson, that is Mr. Debaso.
See, that's an isolated case. We're not going to sit here and talk about one isolated case as corruption in Kenya, as the priest wanted to imply.
But this is an appointment by a CS who represents a government, who was appointed by the president, who has been,
There can always be oversight,
Fair enough.
Human is to error. And you see, because it was caught, it is not going to...
We cannot say it is human is to error when you disregarded the advice of the chairperson of the board. Honorable Peter Orero, let me come to Honorable Orero. Honorable Orero, let's just shift gears now to matters counties and funds, because yesterday the governors did threaten to shut down operations across county governments if funds will not be released. Now, first of all, you're being accused as members of the National Assembly of sabotaging devolution, because members of the Council of Governors do accuse you of slashing 20 billion. First of all, I mean, why did the National Assembly decide that they're going to slash 20 billion from the agreed allocation of 400 billion to county governments?
From the onset, we must say that the 2010 Constitution of this country very vividly expressed that we must have devolved government. That is basic. And when we talk about devolved government, from our course, I think Article 203, 202 and 203 on what we are saying is a provision for the county government, 15% of our revenue collection, the disbursement of our revenue collection, 15% should directly go to the county government. I think that is the basic line, that the national government should be able to transmit money to our devolved function. We are not talking about that. And if we are talking about 380 billion, the proposal of the Council of Governors have said that they need 400 billion. And what we are saying is that even that 380 billion, has it been disbursed in the current financial year? They are saying they have yet to receive 50% of the previous financial year. So to us, the national government should be able to disburse the 380 billion in total before even we start talking about 400 billion. When it came to the assembly, what the bone of contention and the argument was about 2023-2024 financial bill. And the majority, I don't want to talk about the majority side because I'm on the minority side. The majority side who brought that bill, the explanation was...
Safe to say you're in the minority side, but within the broad-based government.
Is it broad or bread? But it is broad-based. Broad so that is a statement that we are, of course, I am on the minority side of the government. And their reasoning was that the financial bill, the finance bill of 2023-24 did not go through. And they have not collected the funding that they intended to use for disbursement to devolve government. I think that was their basic reasoning, because they are saying it was a temporary measure that if they will get the funding, then they will disburse the next 20 billion to the county government. That was what was put in Parliament, that it is not that they have refused to disburse the amount, but they are saying their mode of revenue collection at the moment, they have not been able to raise the kind of revenue that they had targeted. So that was the reasoning within Parliament. But I would not speak for them. My position is the governors must be given their 15% allocation as enshrined in Article 202 and 203 of the Constitution without fail. Because as a country, we need to really restrain from antagonizing our law system. Because now we are a devolved country.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Let me just engage Honorable Tandaza, because before I talk to Honorable Karen Nyamu, because the Senate are in agreement with the Council of Governors that indeed the figure should be 400 billion, not 380 billion. Honorable Tandaza, why 380 billion? And why are you guys angling to control the road maintenance levy?
You see, as Honorable Orera said, what does the law say? And this is not an act of Parliament, the Constitution, 15%, is 380. If they were to be given 350, is it below the 15%? Can we pause on that question? Can you ask those governors, if any governor comes to this show, assuming they were even given 290 instead of 380, is it below 15%? Because you have to have a basis of saying we cannot accept this. For sure, since devolution started.
Just to add on what you say, normally that 15% is based on the last audited accounts of the government. So
it's not even 2023, 2024. But since devolution started,
400 billion is the figure agreed upon by the Council of Governors and the national government.
But you know, we are a country governed by law. You know, the basis. I wish, and I don't want to ignite a forgotten debate of the BBI. I wish the BBI went through and the threshold went to 35%. I'm sure we will be talking of about 600 billion or thereabout, which would have been, but we will be having a basis. Look, Kaitani, since devolution started, the county governments, this national government has never given disbursed less than 15%. If anything, they have been disbursing up to sometimes 18, 20 and above. So what is the basis of that complaint? And yet, we are saying the government, again, if they can manage to go by the Constitution, have given you more than what you actually deserve legally, there are other activities, there are other deserving needs, as you put it clearly, when it comes to the issue of infrastructure, when it comes to the education, which is not higher education, which is not, you know, these are sectors which also need money. So certainly, even you as a father in your house or the head of your house, you can only share what you have, depending on the needs. Certainly, the places will prioritize. Okay. For sure, you would want your kid not to miss school fees, even if he's not going to get spaghetti, but at least he's going to get ugali and go to school. You know, that is how a responsible leader is, and that is what is currently happening. So the issue of the 20 billion, to me, if the money was there, personally, unajua watu wa Coast ni watu wa majimbo. I'm really pro majimbo, I'm really pro devolution. Okay. I wish BBI went through and we will be talking of 600, 700, because those are the only funds that come to my county. But again, when the money is not there, you will not insist on something which cannot be available. And fair again, enough. It has no basis in law. Because that of time. Is where my problem is.
Because of time. Before you come back to the issue of road maintenance, because that is one thing.
Yeah. I just want to add something. There's something called on resource.
Let me just give Honorable Nyamu an opportunity because of time, because there's the issue of road maintenance levy as well. But Honorable Nyamu, I don't know whether you agree with them, because the Senate is there to ensure that everything runs smoothly within the devolved units, and the governors are looking at the Senate, and you are in agreement with the Council of Governors in regards to the issue of 400 billion. You want the counties to be given 400 billion. Now, I don't know whether you agree with the sentiments of Honorable Orero and Honorable Tandaza in regards to the issue of 380 billion.
Well, you know, I sit in a house where we are empowered to represent the interests of the county and the county government. And this 400 billion figure, we are the ones as a Senate who proposed it, because we had proposed 400 billion, and I remember even on that, as we debated.
I like what she's saying. They proposed. We'll come to that.
Let her finish.
Yeah, a law before it's assented is a bill is a legislative proposal, isn't it? And so we want to support the county governments by all means, and we want the county governments to function, because how do we give a success story of devolution if the county governments are being brought to their knees because of lack of funds? I think, like my friend, the Senator from Migori rightfully said, Senator Eddie, the national government, when met with constraints of funds, financial constraints, they can go ahead and borrow. But in county government, there are legal constraints and systematic constraints that cannot allow them to be funded by any institution, or
they cannot take loans,
or do even PPPs for that matter. So we want the county governments to be funded, and we want them to receive the 400 million. But like he said, we can, let us see the commitment. This 380 that the National Assembly is proposing, has the government disbursed it to the county governments, so that we say we are awaiting the 20 billion deficit. So I definitely support.
I think one of the things as Kenyans that we should never be changing goalposts every time. When the NADCO report was produced, we had very good items captured in that NADCO report. And the devolved as government, they had proposed that we, just as my colleague has said, 35% of the national revenue collection. But it has not, it has come to pass. We have not even debated in full about the NADCO report. But what we are saying is that all of us as members of parliament, we agree that this country is a devolved country. We must always ensure that the national government, because we also oversight the executive, we must ensure that the money meant for counties is always disbursed as stipulated and as enshrined in our constitution. And that is 15% of the total revenue collected. But also depending on the last budget or the last audited report of that year. Where do we get the 15%?
What is the 15% of the current revenue?
Of course, you know, as a country, what we raised, I can remember the other financial year, the country raised 2.9 trillion of this country. That was the revenue, or that was collected. there was a deficit because they were to raise about 4 trillion to run the budget of this country. So basing their argument on that, that is where they get the 15% of the revenue collected.
We're running out of time, but let me come back to you again, Honorable Tandaza, on the issue of road maintenance levy. Yeah. Why are you MPs, angling to have control of this road maintenance levy?
You see, there is always a misconception of an MP controlling a fund. Where are you getting that one from? When it comes to the road maintenance levy, you know the classification of these roads. There are those ones under Kenya National Highways Authority. There are the ones under Kenya Rural Roads. There are the ones under Kenya Urban Roads. Those are the ones who actually implement road construction in this country, whether it is at the constituency or at the county. Of course, the county is a bit different because they have their own engineers and whatever. Their system is different. But when it comes to that share, and remember, this is money that is within the budget of the national government. You see, and it's a levy, which is clearly stipulated how it's going to be distributed from those different agencies. So where does a member of parliament come to control those funds when they go to KERA? I'm not a committee. Why then in KERA? Let me,
because we're running out of time.
There's a lot of misconception here.
Honorable Tandaza, we're running out of time. I just want you to respond to this, even as you give me your final submissions. You're questioning where you MPs come into this. But the MPs sitting in the 18-member mediation committee did call or demand that the COG withdraws a case filed in court over the issue of road maintenance levy before they continue with the negotiations. And the governors say you are blackmailing them through this particular demand.
How are we blackmailing them? You know, where are these
Briefly,
roads?
kindly, because of time.
Where are these roads that are supposed to be constructed? When there is a road in my constituency, it is within the county. Or do I have a road in my constituency which is not in that county? If it is done, if a drift is done by KERA, doesn't the county governor or the county government use that same road? What is the problem? You know, here we are talking about funds, and I don't want to go the other direction of how the counties are even, you know, we've been talking about the sharing here. We've not talked about how they're actually also misusing the funds that they are given. So is it that they have interest on just controlling the funds so that they can misuse, or they don't want the road in my constituency to be done, which is in the county?
Fair enough,
and it's done by KERA. It's not done by the member of parliament.
Thank you very much. Honorable Borero,
you see,
30 seconds, kindly.
I want to add on that to my colleague. It is a serious misconception because people think that this money goes to the accounts of NGCDF or the MP's account. What is happening is the MP, with public participation, is supposed to identify a road within the constituency which needs attention. And all the procurement and all that is done in the KERA, by the KERA office. So we are not the ones with the funds, but we identify the roads. Like me, as I speak now.
Fair enough.
The KERA, they have done 18 roads in Kibra.
Fair enough.
If it went to the county, how many roads would they have done in my constituency?
Thank you very much.
If you go to the public and ask them what the MPs are doing and the roads they are identifying, they will tell you that the number of roads that have been done in the MPs cannot be compared to the
Thank you very much. Honorable Nyamu, 30 seconds kindly. Your parting shot.
My parting shot is Kenyans lately, I've observed, especially on social media, they have adopted a very negative approach, criticizing everything and hurling insults at leaders and just spelling doom to every situation. I am wondering what happened to positivity? What happened to hope? This government has just been in place for barely 2 years. Things that did not happen in 10 years in the last regime, I expected to have been done by now. I am wondering, is this natural? Is it instigated? Are strings being pulled somewhere to... Let us be positive. Let us give this government time. I don't know if Kenyans understood when we went out there, when we were looking for votes, when we were talking about bottom up. It's like they did not understand, because if you look at the SHA...
Thank you very much.
If you look at the healthcare revolution, it is bottom-up based. If you look at the university new funding model, it is all bottom-up.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Because the last shot.
Because it was the last. Thank you very because of time. Thank you very much,
Honorable. You called me here. You called me because of what is happening in education sector.
Thank you very much, Honorable Tandaza. Because of time, we'll find more time for that, Honorable Orero. Thank you very much for making time to be with us this particular morning. Of course, there are various issues across the country that are supposed to be discussed, but of course, we'll be looking at that in the coming days. Thank you very much for making time. Remy Majala will be coming to you in a moment with wellness here on Morning Vibe. Until then, do have yourself a wonderful day. See you again next Tuesday. And like always, God bless.
When it's a Saturday, there's only one